I'm going to talk about the parts of a research paper, by which I mean any major report on research, your trabalho de grau, but also a master or doctoral thesis. It's a structure that's sort of inherited from the sciences. Okay, literature people will do whatever they like, but this is a structure that I think you should at least take into consideration. As you can see, the classical model here is that there are basic parts that at the beginning, you capture people in. You say why your topic is important. The introduction should grab people, make it very clear. Then it gets narrow. You do your actual analysis. And at the end, you say, well, what we have discovered can be applied here and here and here. And that's why it's important. All right. Your research work is right in the middle there. But it's essential to communicate your research, and that means you need the stuff at the beginning and the stuff at the end, and you tend to forget about that. Now, what you've got there is a very, very simple model. When you do your trabalho de grau, you'll have to bear in mind these things. What do you start with? Well, there's a title there, but put the title in last when you're sure of what you're covering, and the title should give the reader an idea of what's in your work. Don't be too fancy and go overboard like film titles, to grab people's attention. But often, if you want to grab attention, you can have a citation. Okay, I was reading something this morning about a translator who worked on a novel, and it was a labor of love. So I would put inverted commas, a labor of love. Hilda Rosener's translation of Siddhartha, for example. That would be my title for that. Then you have an abstract, and an abstract is many different things. Here, it's a short summary of the whole thing in one paragraph, and we'll see that in a separate recording, okay? After that, usually you have keywords, and keywords are important because it enables people to direct it to certain readers, and it goes into databases according to the keywords. So keywords help you get readers when it's in Web of Science, for example, and the kind of databases that you've seen. Or you've seen the search engines, and they've got a thing for keywords. So if you do your keywords well, you get readers through those search engines. Now into the part where you really have to start writing, the introduction. Believe me, you don't know where the research is going until you get to the end. So get to the end, then come back and write a short, snappy, exciting introduction. All right? Traditionally after that, not in the model you have on the right, but for us here, we want to see a literature review. And that means you're going to talk about other people who have worked on what you're going to say. In the introduction, you say, this is my topic, I'm working on this. Oh, and here are other people who've worked on it. And you just show that you're aware of them and that you have the right to speak about this topic because you're aware of what the other people have said. Then you have your methodology or methods, as you can see on the right, just explaining what you're going to do and how you're going to do it. What instruments do you have for getting knowledge, for getting data? How are you going to process the data? Even in literature, you have a methodology. You might do a close reading of the text, or you might do a comparative reading of two texts, or you might do a reading of the text in relation to the biography of the author, or the text in relation to the socioeconomic or political context. These are all methods, all right? And you have a method if you're going to produce knowledge. Then you just say what you found. In the sciences, like exact sciences, these would just be, here's what I found, the data, okay? Very dry, very simple, not explaining, not interpreting, because then after that you have a discussion chapter where you make sense of the data. In a literary piece of work, you're probably going to be doing results and discussion at the same time, especially if you're presenting a reading of a work and you're following it through a series of topics. So you might organize that part of your work quite differently. for a literary topic. And at the end, conclusions. Very short, succinct summary of what you've discovered in this piece of work. All right? After that, references. And I suggest that in English, if you're citing people and works as you go through it, at the end, you should have everybody that you cite and only people that you cite. And that means you're doing a references section. A bibliography would be a list of works on the topic that you've discovered. But for this work here, I suggest you should do references, which means that everything you cite in the text is in the references section, and there's nothing else in the references section. Okay, that's it for the overview of the parts of a research paper. That's a classical model. Okay, as I say up there, it can be modified according to your topic, according to what your supervisor likes to see as well. But you won't get lost. These are the signposts. People know how to read according to those signposts. I invite you to use them as much as possible,